we start thinking that everything happens only by His will, then we understand there should be an instrumental cause for the birth, there should be an instrumental cause for the death.
It is of an higher order.
So our whole thrust is how to maintain this equanimity. So the equanimity can come only when we, through our sadhana, try to tutor our mind, educate our mind that whatever is happening only by His will. At the moment it is the tallest order, none of us will be able to understand it, accept it. But we try. From small incidents we try, and then we try to keep on going deep within. And when we chant Ram Nam, Papa says we should know that he is making us to chant. That means what? The sense of individuality is made to do because of the articulation given by him. So when we try to understand that even the Nama I am chanting is because he made me to chant, everything, not only Nama, slowly I start realizing. Every thought, every word, every deed, he puts me in my mouth and he makes it to get expressed. It's a higher state. At this stage, it is difficult to understand. So they are all the litmus test, or what you call the milestones to know whether we are progressing. So a person who has surrendered himself totally at the feet of the Lord will accept everything as ordained by him. So that yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya asidhyau samo bhutva samatvam yoga muchyate. Being steadfast in yoga, this we must understand. Yoga means union with God, well rooted in God. Perform actions, O Arjuna, abandoning attachment, remaining unconcerned as regards success or failure. This evenness of mind is known as yoga. It is another way of motivating us to get connected with him. The sense of individuality, which at the moment arrogates that it is doing everything, is slowly made known that it has no power of its own. It draws the strength only from him who is the subtle and mysterious power. And when it becomes a reality, now intellectually we understand, by our steady sadhana, when we come to slowly recognize, it becomes an actuality. Then we become cool, collected, passive, which is called even-minded. We are neither upset with anything nor elated with anything. Yesterday we were also making a mention in the 12th chapter where the Lord defines who is my dearest bhakta. He says, Harsha Amarsha Bhaya Udvegai. Harsha means exhilaration. Whenever anything happens, you get excited. Amarsha means you get depressed. One who is having an even mind in both. So this is a stage which we keep it in our mind as an ideal to be scaled. That is why in the 2nd chapter he says, we should read the complete stanza. He says here, being steadfast in yoga, O Arjuna, perform actions, abandoning attachment, remaining unconcerned as regards success and failure. This evenness of mind is known as yoga. Samatvam yoga muchyate.
We praise Swami Sachidananda Ji as Samadrishtike avatar. Is it same as Samatvam?
Samatvam, yes, exactly.
Swamiji, in day-to-day life, if we keep equanimity, it adversely affects our life because others feel that they are good for nothing and keeps quiet, surrounding answer them or quarrel them like that. So can we pretend that we are angry and keep quiet and internally detached? Like, can we keep like that?
As a spiritual aspirant, we have to look within only. A basic common sense factor is our happiness should not be in somebody's pocket. Our happiness should be in our own pocket. Somebody says something about me, I get upset. That means what? My happiness is in his pocket. Suppose somebody says something for no fault of mine. There are two ways of taking it. One is that I get excited, I immediately shout back, I justify what I have done. The other thing is, you slowly and when you find that he is in a mood to understand, you try to uncover, that's all. You are not affected. But to clear that understanding, at the same time if you do that, his door is shut. And your door is shut. So if the traffic has to take place, the door should be open. We all know, you and I do that, when somebody shouts, if we love him, what do we say? He's a good man, slightly short-tempered, no? After some time he will be all right. So after some time we go and tell him, you were shouting unnecessarily, this was not the case. Then he will say sorry. There ends the matter. But by the time the damage has been done. So we keep on thinking about it. What is the practical way? If my happiness is to be certified by somebody else, then I become unhappy. But suppose if I am the certifying authority for myself, that means I am contented. When I am selfless, when I try to ensure that none of my thoughts, words, deeds are harmful to others, I will not get upset. Somebody may misconstrue, misunderstand. And I will slowly wait for the time and then later tell him. In ashram, Puja Swamiji was adopting an altogether different method. When something happens, he will not do any post-mortem. It has happened, let us see what can be done. So that means, suppose you do the post-mortem, justification again comes. I am right, you are wrong, I am right, you are wrong. Again argument, again the hearts, they distance themselves. Our idea is to somehow bridge the gap. So best way is, it had happened. Unfortunately, it had happened. Forget about it. We were destined to go through that trying moment. No post-mortem. So everything we put a full stop at that particular place. We don't carry it. Like that, each one can bring out methodology. We need not follow what others have done. There are somebody who may also react immediately, but they will forget. They don't mean anything bad. It comes just like that. And when we come and tell him what the words you expressed, it is not right. Oh, I never knew that. I remember one incident, probably I would have shared it. When we were working with that person, he's an honest, straightforward, upright man. So, somebody was instigating labor trouble in their state. And there was in the air in the room, or there was in the air, that he would employ somebody to beat him. So this man straight away went. There is a big meeting going on for some other purpose. So there he saw that person. He went straight to him and said, "You have got every right to beat me directly. But if you employ somebody to beat me, I will come and beat you." As soon as he said that, he came back to the estate and told us. So we immediately asked him what language you used in Malayalam. So he used the first person, ni, tu, whereas he is an elderly person. So immediately we said, how can you use? You always feel that respect should be maintained, You may differ. Right. Immediately he took the jeep, went back. He went there, in the same meeting, he went straight again to this person. Look here, while expressing my views, I used the word ni, which I should not have. And I am prostrating as a mark of my apology. But rest of the things, it holds good.
Abuse is still there.
So there is likely, we are all human beings, we are likely to err. But when somebody points out, immediately we have the broadness or the open-mindedness to accept our this thing and then go there and correct ourselves in front of everybody, See, so there is no ego there. So that's why I said there is no particular method how this equanimity can be maintained. Each one, when we go deeper and deeper into ourselves, God will give us the hints as to how we should maintain. You made me to lose temper. Not that everybody will be passive, sattvic. God has given them all these tempers. Somebody will be immediately react without thinking. Somebody will act after thinking. Somebody will use words which are not palatable. They don't mean anything bad. But when it is pointed out, they immediately correct themselves. Somebody will hold on to it. I am right, you are wrong. Ego is there. So their samatvam can never be there. Because my happiness, my contentment, my equanimity is in somebody's pocket. I can have equanimity only when it is in my pocket, meaning I accept that God willed it. God willed through that individual to shout at me for no fault of mine. So I have to reply back, no doubt. In the Vyavaharic sense, it has to be replied. But the tone will be different. Those of you who have gone through this IQG, you will find in one chapter, we have already covered that, when that headmaster or somebody crossed to the limits of decency and used some abusive words, at the time of leaving, Papa called him and said, I still love you. You remember?
Yes.
Next day he came, the voice was choked. Then he said, because of talking so many nonsense to you, I have got this. Immediately he took Papa's hand and rubbed it on his throat, and he became all right. So there you see Papa, what did he maintain? No? He did not have any ill will. It's a higher stage, agree. But what is the use of reading and sharing, Whenever God gives us an opportunity, we should put it on a trial. Even if we fail it, we should know we have tried. Samatvam Yogam Uchade, it is a wonderful word. How to keep up this equanimity in trying moments? In sattvic moments, it is easy. In trying moments, in Vyavahara, when you are faced with challenges.
Daily we are facing such situations in life.
Daily we are facing such situations.
Daily he is giving us the test.
Yes.
Why? Because we have not still. when we pass the examination, we will not be given asked to sit for the examination. When we are given tests, we should know that we are yet to pass. We are yet to pass. So he is making us repeatedly. He is giving us this test. One day we will realize. Puja Swamiji, when somebody asked, Swamiji, you are sitting like a rock, untouched, unmoved, unaffected. Why don't you give 1% of it to us? For that also he smiled and kept quiet. Swamiji, you should say something. Then smilingly he said, don't react immediately. That is the mantra. We have heard that, no? But are we? Don't react immediately. And before you react, 3 times or 10 times you chant Ram Nam, mentally. By the time you would have got yourself. Otherwise you are carried away by the remarks given by somebody. It has touched and kindled so many negative emotions in you. So normally in Vedantic language it is called Udasinata. Positively indifferent. As if we have not heard. No? And later on we call him and say, you said something, I have not done it. Probably you misunderstood. The tone. Or if we have committed something, out of impulse, out of slip of the tongue, we immediately go and seek his forgiveness. Bhujanga Shetty says, he was passing through one shooting scene where he saw the hero.
Hero hits the villain.
There was a fight between hero and the villain, and the villain was thrashed. Left and right he was given, and then immediately the shooting was over. The villain happens to be an elderly person to the hero. The hero went and touched his feet. So Bhujanga Shetty says, in the role we have to play, we may have to do certain things. But after the role is over, we go and so forgive those who have hurt you while playing their role. Seek forgiveness from them who have hurt you. Those you have hurt while playing your role. Seek forgiveness. There are two, I have done something to others. They have done something to me. Both are because a part of the role. Role played. In effect, no. In reality, no. The role God gave me as a head of the institution or a head of an organization, commercial organization, I may have to take tough decisions as a boss for the sake of the organization, industry or the office. I may have to take disciplinary action for the erring or delinquent employees. Or as a father, when some member says or does something, I may have to be very strict. I may use strong words, even in a family. Suppose we are the president or secretary of a residential association. One friend may say something, but suppose everybody keeps on telling, as the president or secretary, I may use my power and say, no, this can't go like this. All these things are the roles played. But at the same time, as individual, we should know that our idea is not to hurt anybody. Though during the role, I may have to do it, I immediately tell them. So Papa here says, you mentally bring that person and prostrate and tell him, because of the role God has given me, I have to play like this. Please forgive me. So that your mind becomes clear. So these are some of the ways to keep up this equanimity. Again and again we come back to equanimity only. Each one has to devise their own method. When the ideal is clear, the methodology we will get from inside. How is it that I maintain that everything happens only by the will of God? The moment I forget about it, I commit mistakes, I hurt others. While going through, while intensely watching Puja Swamiji, what we have found is, we may have to say, even that telling, he will do it lovingly. So that the other person will feel hurt, even while exercising the power. One person was asked to move from room one to room another. That person refused, point blank. Swamiji did not feel hurt. Swamiji is the head of the institution. He went all the way to that person, asked him why he did so, why he said so. He found out the reason. He offered the alternatives. He complied with all the requirements that he needed, and then he moved out. It was a big lesson for us. Because even when while exercising the power, there is another method, that is a loving method. That means giving equal importance for the differences the other person had. So we have the patience to ask him, why did you differ? Instead of jumping with a decision. He can as well say, take all his items and put it in a room and physically ask him to move. He can be asked. But he did not do that. He went and asked. He went to his room and asked. So that means, the idea is not to hurt. If somebody feels they have been hurt, a little evolved person will go and tell him, intention is not to hurt, intention is only for certain convenience. And when that was made clear, everything becomes clear. There is no friction. Each one's stage, temperament, aptitude, approach is different. So that is why we say we get guidance from within. These are all something that we may not be able to follow, because these are all inborn habits with certain people. It is not cultivated habit. So we have to check up for ourselves, what method shall I use when he keeps on testing me right from morning till evening. You remember another anecdote we shared. The father, he has to go to the office. Daughter, she has to go to the school. Every day the father drops the daughter at the school and then goes to the office. On that particular day he woke up late or something was there. He was in a hurry to get things done. And then he rushed up to the dining hall where the missus has prepared, the food. The daughter also came there to take. Suddenly, the coffee or tea, it got spilled on his shirt and pant. He immediately shouted. He shouted at his wife, shouted at the girl, and went back and changed. He did not eat. And the girl also changed. Without telling, she got into the car, he dropped. When he reached the office, he knew he has not taken the key. So many confusions. There is another way of dealing, Suppose it has been spilled, don't worry, nobody will willfully do it. It could be she would have thought about something or something like that. Don't worry, you carry on, I will come and finish. He changes the dress, eats, not a word about it, with a smiling face, suppose he drops the school, nothing would have happened. So whenever such things happen, how do we handle? Not only that we make ourselves miserable, we make others also miserable. In the second one, not only that we don't make ourselves miserable, and in that process we don't make others also miserable. So this is Samatvam Yoga Muchyate. No? It's all right, it had happened. When something happens, nobody will willfully do it, no. It's a slip of the hand, slip of the tongue, slip of the moment. So we have to draw inspiration from such examples, and during our passive moments like this, we try to fill our mind with all these positive thoughts and slowly train the mind to look at everything in a positive way. The moment we start looking at it in a negative way, we will not be able to have the Samatvam. Samatvam can be maintained only when we start training our mind to look at everything in a positive way.
Swamiji, Papa used to tell to cultivate humility and to be humble, because humility is the greatest value and virtue. And saints are there, and we must have constant companionship with saints, because they are free from pride, free from ego sense, free from the thought that they are something big. So, we want saints like Muktanandaji and all. How to have the companionship except because of we are fortunate that we are having coming through daily. Is this enough or something else?
He's
also
telling
required?
humility can be, Papa has told, humility can be got by company of saints. How to have a company of saints?
To be very, very frank, humility cannot be cultivated. It is an outcome of our sadhana.
Yes, yes.
The moment we think that we are the recipients of everything that has been given by God, then we know our puny intellect we know our limitations. The moment we know our limitations and everything has been given by Him, automatically that expresses in the form of humility. Because if we try to cultivate humility, we become aware of the humility. Humility is not there, no? Pride is there. So the humility...
Papa has got a stamp on saying that saints are having or free from pride.
No. We have to keep our mind, we have to keep our eyes open, ears open. Then we will see humility of everybody. Not only saints. No. There are many beings, not only human beings. There are many. When we look at that with that perspective, they teach us what is humility. That means out of reverence, they are so humble in their approach that the pride will not be there at all.
Yes.
Because self-effacement. Always they are contented. Always they feel everybody, I have been given, I have been facilitated with this, I have been provided with this. So they will never feel the opposite of humility is arrogance, sense of individuality. Assertion.
One who is humble as the highest virtue.
It is an outcome. It is an outcome. Either it is given by God when I am born, because of my previous sadhana, He must have given me, or I try to go through the sadhana intensely. That means remembering God, who is the great provider. And then what is the outcome? Outcome is you become very loving and humble. Otherwise, this assertion will come. I am right, you are wrong will come. Each one becomes a compartment by himself. Each one puts a wall before himself. When the me to we becomes a reality, automatically humbleness will come. It is the me and mine that prevents me from becoming humble. Because I have everything to feel grateful, no?
Yes, Swamiji. According to as Swamiji says, how to cultivate humility. Under reading, Papa has said like this.
Wow.
A man who is humble has the highest virtue. A man who is proud has no virtue at all. When it rains,
No, you You try to see the life, in its light. All these things are okay, theoretical. You see the life. You have appreciated many who are humble,
Yes.
In your professional life, in your family life. God has blessed you with enough experience where you have seen people who are very humble, though they would have been better off persons. Then you now start thinking, do they not teach me humble? When God makes me to say that He is humble, that means the humility in me gets aligned with the humility shown outside by somebody else. Oh, so it is in her. Why don't you please make me aware of that? It cannot be cultivated. It has to be, it is an outcome. But when we write, probably when we say, we can say that we have to develop humility. Even in the 16th chapter, in the 24 values, Devi Sampath, the Lord puts the humility as the last one, because that supports, that protects everything. 23 points are there, but the 24th point is the one which supports. Abhayam, fearlessness is on the front. To quote his words, Kurukshetra war is going on in everybody's heart. There are Pandava forces and Kaurava forces. There are forces of Devi forces and Asuric forces in our heart. The captain of the Asuric Devi force is Nirbhayatvam, Abhayam, fearlessness. And in that row, there are 24 people there to protect us. And the 24th person is humility. Abhayam. From Abhayam to Abhayam. Natimanita. In 13th chapter, he starts with Amanitvam, Adambitvam, no?
Yes.
There the humbleness is there. Humbleness is inherent in us because it is a godliness. But we have forgotten because of the me and mine. So we are now trying to somehow erase the dominance of me and mine from our heart. And when it is erased, what comes out is in the form of all these values, including humility.
In this mixed world, is it possible to be humble always?
See for yourself, If somebody says it is possible, will it be possible for me? It is purely, we have to try for ourselves. I can become humble. I will be humble only, not that I can become. I will be humble only when I become aware of the bounteous gifts given by the Lord through His various forms. Suppose the manager comes and says something to me, and I don't get easily irritated by that because I know he is a good person. He means well of the organization. In this particular instance, somehow he has his own reasons to view it like that. So after some time, I will go and tell him, it is not like this. Then he will say, I am sorry. We are telling from our own experience.
Yes, sir.
So it is an outcome. It is an outcome of our sadhana. And the very fact that we are made known about these values, we should know that these values are appreciated by us because the values are in us. Otherwise we cannot. The outer value gets aligned with the inner value, which has not been exposed so far. That is why we say, oh, he's a noble man. He's a good person. The goodness in you got aligned with the goodness outside. That is the outcome. So in that way we can say association or watching a noble person will touch and kindle such emotions in us. And that is about Samatvam Yoga Muchade. One more thing we said, which we will take it up tomorrow.
Build spirituality little by little. Build spiritual life little by little.
He said, when hearing this, one can't become a yogi. Yogastha Kuru Karmani, he says, well established in yoga. I can't. I have a lot of limitations, lot of weaknesses, lot of inadequacies, insufficiencies. It is absolutely rolled out. So here, Ranganathan Swamiji says, Sri Krishna whispers, be a yogi. I can't be a 1% yogi. Because he has given in the second chapter, Swalpam apyasya dharmas trayatu mahadevam. Even if you do a little, I will be happy. So he says, even if you do a little, that means 1% yogi, 5% yogi, 10% yogi, that is how we build up. We build up what?
Spiritual life.
We build up our spiritual life. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat.
Divinity in every aspect. Divinity in every aspect.
See divinity in every
aspect. Something we have to do. So far we have been concentrating on the academics. Now we are trying to make it an actuality. Then, anything else by anybody else?
Swamiji?
No.
The mutual love and service that we experienced when we were in the ashram should be practiced outside also. Sure. The mutual love and service which we experience inside the ashram should be practiced outside also.
Should be practiced outside also.
To be practiced. We must make a trial, we may fail, doesn't matter. Initially we may fail because our old baggage will come. In ashram probably the baggage will not be opened. It is there with us, but we have not opened. The moment we get into the auto or taxi and go out to the ashram, we open the baggage. All our rights and wrongs, likes and dislikes, everything comes before us. So we must try not to open the baggage. And the stage should come when we don't carry the baggage.
Yeah, the whole world can be just like ashram.
Whole world can be like ashram then. If
we don't know God's ways, But one thing we know from our experience, it will not be like this. So we have to train ourselves to accept every situation.
Yes.
Small is always beautiful.
That inner character efficiency, it is very in touch.
We have to try. It is not a dogma, no. Papa has said that when the actual word is what is practiced within the four walls. He says the mutual, universal love and service, when I know, that is the ideal, based upon the vision of divinity in all. That means I try to see the common denominator, common factor in everybody, so that I become universal. I become at least, broaden my outlook. So that instead of creating walls between me and others, I demolish all these walls, and the limited people, I may be able to gradually become one with it. His Papa says that is the training, laboratory. And then with this you try to go outside, and when you get, not that you did not get that, here also you get the differences, everything will be there. But you were able to go beyond that, transcend that. Okay. So what technique you used? We try that. First we try, in a small place. Everything we do like that. And when we go outside, we may fail. But the urge is there to correct ourselves. And 2-3 times when we observe, when we go through the wisdom teachings of the masters, their biographical sketch, and how the inmates behave, all these will have its own impact, positive impact on my thinking. And then when I meet with such challenges, little cushioning will be there. Instead of rushing out with our judgment, slowly, there will be a break. He also could be right. So slowly then we accommodate others, We accommodate others' feelings, others' views. And then that mutual love and respect that slowly creeps in. That is why when they say that when the phone is put on charge, when you feel it is discharged again, you put it for charging. So we have to, whenever we feel the discharge has taken place, we have to fill it. So the positive thoughts, thinking about the Mahatma's life, thinking about the person who have influenced you, thinking about the objects that have influenced you, thinking about the ambient that have influenced you, and then slowly mentally associate. Everybody may not be able to come to ashram often, but mentally associate with it. And then you become calm, serene. That is why, Swamiji is that word. If that is understood, everything is understood. Don't react immediately. Give a pause moment. Acha, my nature will not permit to keep quiet. Okay, you just run away from that field. You just get up and go away. The other person may feel bad initially, but doesn't matter. Because instead of you are shouting and hurting him. So you will devise your own method. You will rush up to the wash basin and pour cold water on your face. There will be a change in the train of thought. So you will devise your own method. The more you become convinced about it, you will devise your own method to circumvent. First of all, what is needed is a commitment to that ideal. Are we getting committed to that ideal? Or are we just hearing and listening and going? Every day Papa is giving us, such values, and are we getting committed? And that commitment will definitely open up so many alternatives for us. I think that will...
Can I ask a question about chanting the Lord's name?
Chanting the Lord's name?
Tell me.
Yes, so I chant all the time, and the chanting is very loud inside of me, so much so that I can't sleep at night because the chanting goes on and on and on and gives me a lot of energy at night, and I can't sleep because the name is going on in my head constantly, the chanting. Do I continue that, or do I try to silence it, to have silence so that I can sleep?
It's a great blessing to get such experience, and then we slowly pray to Him. You have given me this wonderful experience, and you have also made me know that chanting stands for remembrance, so enable me to remember you even during the non-chanting time, so that the sweetness I enjoyed, I will be able to keep it up during my non-chanting time. So what you are going through is a wonderful experience. It's the grace of Lord, no doubt about it. So you can add one more. You have given me a taste of this sweetness of Ram Nam. But the moment I am back to the activities, please enable me to remember you. Because you have made me know that the purpose of chanting is to remember. Is that clear?
Yes, so even when the chanting is not there and I need to stop the chanting to focus on something, I can just ask to remember the Lord in that moment, even if the chanting is not going on mentally.
And you were mentioning whether it should be mental or loud. Anything that is comfortable for you. Papa used to say that mental chanting will be far more efficacious, that's all. But it all changes from person to person. If loud chanting gives you joy, carry on, that's all. You know, Papa, during his, before he started this ashram, when he was on his tour, whenever he hears anybody chanting, he will be dancing. He will not be able to stop dancing. So that he allowed, you know. So though he says, for inward journey, mental chanting is far more efficacious than vocal chanting, but it will all come as a natural outcome. So let us not worry about it. If we are comfortable with loud chanting, vocal chanting, we will carry on. But the only prayer is, make me to remember you throughout, during the non-chanting time.
Okay, that will help me to sleep at night, because mentally in my head it goes on and on
mentally
and on
it is
all
going
night.
on.
Very nice, very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Hari Om, Hari Om to everybody.